Donald Trump probably never expected the strongest criticism to come from someone in his own family, but that's exactly how the story unfolded.
And in the recordings we're going to play for you, we can hear Marianne Trump Barry and Mary Trump discuss Ivanka Trump during the period that the Trump administration.
And then when that damn Ivanka puts this picture of the Madonna and child on Instagram, when the big news of the day was how kids are being ripped from their families. I couldn't blame, I never heard of Samantha Bee before. I couldn't blame what she said.
Samantha Bee, the comedian, who had slammed Ivanka, calling her oblivious, among other things, after she posted this image of herself and her child at the same time that the country was learning that the Trump administration was separating migrant children from their families.
And meanwhile, Eric's become the moron publicly. Ivanka gives a shit. She's all about her.
Yeah, she's a mini Donald.
She's a mini Donald, but yet he's besotted with her. He always has been. She's always been his favorite.
I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck. I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. I moved on her like a bitch. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case they start kissing. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Wouldn't have an issue with it then. If they were using her to...
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick. Yeah.
Donald, do you ever discuss sex with your daughter?
No.
You do not?
No.
You've never sat
I
down?
have a feeling we're not going to hear.
Yeah, no, you know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean...
You are one.
All right, I was going to say that. But it's true.
My daughter is beautiful. Ivanka, she...
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
You're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the
I would
country.
say I'm the all-time judge.
One of them comes up to you and says, Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man. Right? Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you. Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
Conflict?
yes?
I don't see it as a
It
conflict.
could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with the vagina. And,
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women.
While there's a tremendous amount of pressure, there's an enormous institution built around the office in order to keep dignity around that person. The idea that this is the most important, the most powerful person on the planet only feeds into that.
But it felt really personal. And
Well, this all must feel personal in some way, because when I hear you say Donald, but when you say Donald, you're just talking about your uncle. Is it odd for you to have this personal and intimate connection who is, for better or worse, and I'm going to say worse, transformative political figure, regardless of whether it's a destructive?
it's awful, honestly.
Does it seem surreal?
It's still very difficult for me to wrap my head around it. I mean, I have a better handle on it now. Every day of my life, there would be this moment where I'd remember, be horrified all over again.
But before I let you go, I just want to ask you about the cognitive test that your uncle keeps bragging about.
From what I understand, and I don't know precisely what the test is, I never used it myself because I worked with a totally different kind of patient. A test to screen for early signs of dementia, I believe. As far as I'm concerned, his talking about it the way he's talking about it is failing the test.
Bragging about passing a cognitive test is one of the ways you fail a cognitive test.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest claims to be back and better than ever. If that's true, why is he here? Dynamic Donald Trump. Donald!
The politicians killed the real estate industry, and we've done great.
Now, see, I don't know what that means when you say the politicians killed the real
Well, in
estate industry. What does that mean?
1986, they passed a tax change, the 1986 law,
which really, you look at what happened with Olympia in York and Reichman and everybody else, and it's big trouble.
They lost incentives. Real estate no longer became a good place to put your dough.
Exactly, and it's coming back strong now. And we've worked hard over the last 6 months, and I think we have really done a job.
Of course, now here in New York City, people may get a warped perception of how things actually are because the New York Daily News and the New York Post, every day, day in, day out, they take stories like you and other popular kind of stories like that, and they just sort of jam it down everyone's throat.
Well,
now, were you ever near broke?
I was never near broke. I was having a good time, and it was a good year to get a divorce.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back. If you don't mind, what did you have to unload?
Well, I didn't unload. I sold things. I sold a shuttle.
All right, the shuttle is no longer the Trump shuttle.
I unloaded the wife. I will say. What did I say? Tell me, why did I say?
Yeah.
Although it was a good year to get a divorce.
That ought to cost you a couple extra million right there.
That could have been a very expensive thing. And but it was a rough year for a lot of people, and I came out really great, and I'm very happy about it. The casinos are doing record business in Atlantic City. We're up, I guess, 75%, and they're just doing record business. And we just got certified on the west side of Manhattan for the largest development in the world, actually, called Riverside South.
How many acres?
The segment opened with a split screen showing Donald Trump at a rally talking about loyalty, strength, bloodline, success, and the family name as if it were carved into American history. Then the studio fell completely silent. And that was the first big moment. His niece didn't claim to have some secret recording or hidden document. Instead, she said the real story was something much deeper, a pattern that anyone could see in his public behavior. She argued that after years of presenting himself as fearless, dominant, untouchable, and built to handle pressure, the pattern she saw was very different. According to her, he didn't respond to criticism like a strong person. He reacted like someone who saw every correction as a personal attack and every limit as humiliation. Right after that, Trump's response appeared on screen, immediate and angry, calling her bitter, jealous, dishonest, desperate, and irrelevant. The audience reacted before the host even had a chance to speak. Looking at the post, she simply said, "Thank you for arriving as Exhibit A," and the room erupted. Instead of arguing with the insult, she used it to make her point. She said he wanted people to see a disloyal family member, while she wanted them to notice the pattern, attack the messenger instead of answering the message. If the criticism comes from the media, blame the media. If it comes from a judge, blame the judge. If it comes from family, call the family member broken. For many older viewers, the moment probably felt familiar because every family has stories that get repeated until they become legend. But, she argued, powerful families can turn those stories into a public image, and that's where the danger begins, when private habits become a style of leadership and refusing to admit you're wrong gets presented as strength. Then she placed 3 cards on the desk: loyalty, fear, and silence. Pointing to loyalty, she said Trump often defines it as agreement. Pointing to fear, she said he often disguises it as toughness. Then she pointed to silence and said that's what many powerful families expect when protecting the image matters more than telling the truth. The audience responded with slow applause. Another angry response from Trump appeared on screen, even harsher than the first, filled with more insults, more capital letters, and more claims that nobody cared what she had to say. She replied with a simple question: if nobody cares, then why does the response sound like a siren? The studio exploded again. Then the conversation shifted. She said this wasn't really about family gossip at all. It was about a broader public lesson. When someone becomes used to being shielded from consequences, accountability starts to feel like betrayal. When someone becomes used to constant praise, honesty can sound like cruelty. And when someone becomes used to controlling the room, democracy itself can begin to feel like disrespect. She ended by saying that Donald's biggest family secret was that the public image was never built to survive the truth. The room sat in silence for a moment before breaking into loud applause. According to her, the real bombshell wasn't a leaked document or a hidden confession. It was a way of looking at his behavior that made it easier to understand the anger, the personal attacks, the need for praise, the refusal to concede, and the habit of turning every loss into theft and every critic into an enemy. She argued that none of it was random. In her view, it was the same pattern, simply expanded from the dynamics of one family to the stage of national politics.